Every single day, millions of babies around the world do something that has terrified humans for thousands of years. Their tiny bodies suddenly become hot, not warm. Hot enough that anyone who touches their forehead immediately thinks the same thing. Something is wrong. Parents panic, grandparents worry, phones come out, thermometers beep, questions start flying. Why is the baby so hot? Is this dangerous? Should I be worried? But here's the part almost nobody tells you. That heat might actually be one of the smartest things the human body has ever evolved, because a fever isn't just heat. It's a message. It's a battle. It's a carefully organized defense system that has been protecting humans long before hospitals, medicine, or even civilization existed. So, who tells a baby's body to heat up? Why doesn't it stay at its normal temperature? Who decides it's time to raise the temperature? And what exactly is happening inside that tiny body while everyone outside is panicking? Today, we're shrinking ourselves down, smaller than a single grain of sand, and traveling inside a baby's body to witness one of the most incredible survival systems nature has ever created. Welcome inside the human body. Today, we're discovering why babies get fevers. At first, everything inside a healthy baby's body is running exactly as it should. Billions of tiny cells are busy doing their jobs. Some carry oxygen, some build new tissues, some help the baby grow. And then, something unexpected arrives. It doesn't look dangerous. In fact, it's so incredibly small that millions of them could fit on the tip of a pin. But don't let its size fool you. This tiny visitor has only one mission: get inside the body's cells and make copies of itself. 1 becomes 2, 2 become 20, 20 become hundreds, then thousands, then millions. The invasion has begun. But here's something amazing. The baby's body doesn't wait until it's overwhelmed. It notices the danger almost immediately. One of the body's microscopic guards has spotted the intruder. An alarm is raised, not with flashing lights, not with sirens, but with tiny chemical messages racing through the body. Think of them like emergency text messages. Every nearby immune cell receives the same alert. Intruder detected. Send backup. Within minutes, the quiet little world inside the baby's body transforms into a busy emergency response. More immune cells rush toward the infected area. Some surround the invader. Some begin attacking infected cells. Others send even more chemical messages to coordinate the defense. To us on the outside, the baby may still look completely normal. Maybe they're smiling. Maybe they're sleeping peacefully. But inside, one of the most extraordinary battles in nature has already begun. And then, the immune system makes a decision that surprises almost everyone. Instead of trying to cool the body down, it deliberately asks the body to become hotter. Why? Because the body has discovered something humans didn't fully understand until modern science. Sometimes, heat is a weapon. And the next stop on our journey is the tiny part of the brain that decides exactly how warm your body should be. Because, believe it or not, your temperature isn't random. It's being controlled every second by something no bigger than an almond. Every healthy human, whether you're a newborn baby, a teenager, or 90 years old, has a tiny control center deep inside the brain. You can think of it as the body's thermostat, just like the thermostat in a house decides when the heating should turn on. This tiny part of the brain decides whether your body should cool down or warm up. Scientists call it the hypothalamus. Don't worry about remembering the name. Just remember the job. It's the body's temperature manager every second of every day. It's checking thousands of signals from all over your body. Too cold, warm things up. Too hot, cool things down. Most of the time, it keeps your body at a very steady temperature because that's where your cells work best. Everything looks normal. Then, another emergency message arrives from the immune system. The message is simple. We're under attack. The thermostat reads it, thinks for a moment, and then does something that seems completely backwards. Instead of trying to cool the body, it turns the temperature up. Not because it's broken, that's exactly what it was designed to do. Now here's the fascinating part. Your body isn't getting hot by accident. It's following new instructions. The brain has decided. that fighting the infection is now more important than staying at its usual temperature. But why? Why would making the body hotter ever help? Because many viruses and bacteria have a favorite environment. They grow best at normal body temperature. When the body raises the temperature, life suddenly becomes much harder for some of those invading germs. At the same time, many parts of the immune system work more efficiently during a fever. It's a little like making the battlefield more difficult for the invader, while giving your own defenders a better chance to fight. That's why scientists generally describe a fever as part of the body's natural immune response, not an illness by itself. A fever isn't the enemy. In many cases, it's evidence that the body has recognized a problem and has already started responding. But if the brain has asked the body to become warmer, why do babies suddenly start shivering? Why do they sometimes get goosebumps, even while their temperature is rising? That sounds impossible until you realize the body is trying to reach a new target temperature, and that's exactly what we're about to see. This might be one of the strangest things about a fever. The baby's body is becoming warmer, yet the baby may actually feel colder. That sounds impossible. But here's what's really happening. Remember the body's thermostat inside the brain? A few moments ago, it changed the body's target temperature. Imagine your home's thermostat is usually set to 22 degrees Celsius. Now imagine someone secretly changes it to 27 degrees. Even if your house is still 22 degrees, the thermostat now thinks, "It's too cold in here." So what does it do? It turns on the heating. Your body does something very similar. When the brain raises the body's target temperature, the body suddenly believes it's colder than it should be, even though its actual temperature is already rising, so it switches on its natural heaters. Tiny blood vessels near the skin begin to tighten. Less warm blood reaches the skin. That's why a baby's hands and feet can sometimes feel cool, even while the temperature inside the body is climbing. Next, the muscles begin to contract, again and again and again. Tiny movements, too small to help the baby move, but perfect for producing one thing: heat. Those tiny muscle movements are what we call shivering. Shivering isn't a sign that the body is losing control, it's the body making heat on purpose. Every shake, every tiny muscle movement is helping the body reach its new temperature target. It's a clever survival trick that's found not just in babies, but in children, teenagers, adults, and many animals too. Millions of years of evolution have refined this response because, in many situations, it helped our ancestors survive infections long before modern medicine existed. Finally, the brain looks at its temperature gauge. Mission accomplished. The new target has been reached. The shivering slows. The muscles relax. The body has entered the next stage of the fever, but the battle inside is far from over, because while the baby rests on the outside, an invisible war is still being fought, cell by cell, and the immune system is about to reveal why raising the temperature was only the beginning. At this very moment, while everyone outside is feeling a baby's warm forehead, an extraordinary battle is unfolding inside, not with swords, not with guns, but with billions of microscopic cells, each carrying out a job they've been preparing for since the day the baby was born. Think of the immune system as the body's own emergency response team. Different cells have different jobs. Some are scouts. They search for anything that doesn't belong. Some are messengers. They spread the alarm and call for reinforcements. Others are the frontline defenders. They surround infected cells, destroy germs they can recognize, and help stop the infection from spreading. No single cell wins the battle alone. They work together, constantly communicating, constantly adapting. And that's what makes the human immune system so remarkable. Now remember, the fever, it wasn't started to make the baby uncomfortable. It was started to help this defense. When the body's temperature rises, some disease-causing germs find it harder to thrive. At the same time, many immune cells become more active and move more efficiently as they respond to the infection. Scientists have been studying this for decades, and fever is widely understood as one of the body's natural defense mechanisms, not the disease itself. But here's something important. A fever doesn't magically destroy every germ. It doesn't mean the battle is already won. Instead, it creates conditions that can help the immune system do its job while it continues fighting. Think of it like this. Imagine two football teams. Now imagine one team suddenly has to play on a muddy field they're not used to. While the home team knows exactly how to move across it, the game isn't over. But one side now has an advantage. That's similar to what the body is trying to achieve. It's changing the conditions of the battlefield, not because heat alone cures an illness, but because the immune system is coordinating a much bigger response, hour by hour. The defenders keep working, removing damaged cells, cleaning up the battlefield, sending new messages, building a memory of the invader. And here's the incredible part. If the same germ ever returns in the future, the immune system may recognize it much faster. It's one of the reasons our bodies become better at fighting many infections over time. Outside, all anyone notices is a warm forehead. Inside, it's one of the most organized rescue missions in nature. But if a fever is often part of the body's defense, why do doctors and parents still pay such close attention to it? Because sometimes a fever isn't just telling us that the body is fighting. Sometimes it's telling us that the body needs help. And knowing the difference is one of the most important things every family should understand. By now, you've probably realized something surprising. A fever isn't usually the illness itself. It's the body's response to an illness. It's one of the ways the immune system reacts when it detects certain infections. But here's the important part. Not every fever is the same. Imagine you see smoke rising from a building. The smoke tells you something is happening, but it doesn't tell you exactly what caused it. It could be someone cooking. It could be a small electrical problem, or it could be a serious fire. The smoke is a signal, not the whole story. A fever works in a similar way. It tells us that something has changed inside the body, but by itself, it doesn't tell us exactly why. That's why doctors don't look at a thermometer alone. They look at the whole picture. They ask questions like, how old is the baby? Are they alert? Are they unusually sleepy? Are they feeding normally? Are they breathing comfortably? Do they have a rash? How long has the fever lasted? Are there other symptoms that help explain what's happening? These clues help build the story. Because medicine isn't about one number, it's about understanding the whole person. Here's something many people don't realize. Two babies can have exactly the same temperature and yet need completely different care. One may have a mild viral infection and recover quickly. Another may have a more serious illness that needs prompt medical attention. That's why healthcare professionals pay close attention not just to the fever, but to the baby's age, behavior, breathing, hydration, and other signs. For example, very young babies, especially newborns, are treated differently because their immune systems are still developing. Even a fever that might seem modest in an older child can require urgent medical evaluation in a newborn. And regardless of age, if a baby has a fever along with warning signs like difficulty breathing, being very difficult to wake, repeated seizures, signs of severe dehydration, or a rash that doesn't fade when pressed, those are situations where prompt medical care is important. Remember, the fever isn't speaking, the body is, and learning to notice the body's signals is far more useful than fearing the thermometer alone. So, after everything we've seen today, one question still remains. If fever is one of the body's oldest defense systems, why has it frightened humans for thousands of years? The answer might surprise you. For thousands of years, people feared fever, and that's understandable. A warm forehead feels frightening, especially when it belongs to someone so small. But today, we've seen something most people never get to see. We've watched a fever from the inside. We've seen that the body doesn't simply become hot by accident. The brain makes a decision. The immune system sends a signal. The muscles create heat. Billions of tiny cells work together with one shared goal: to protect the body from an invader. That's one of the reasons fever has been part of human survival for millions of years. It's not a random mistake. It's part of an ancient defense system that evolution has refined over countless generations. But nature also reminds us of something important. Every fever tells a story. Sometimes it's the story of a common viral infection that the body successfully fights. Other times, it's the first clue that a baby needs prompt medical attention. The fever itself can't tell us which story it is. That's why paying attention to the whole child, not just the number on the thermometer, is so important. because behind every heartbeat, every breath, every cry, and every fever, a baby's body is constantly communicating. The more we understand those messages, the less mysterious they become. And maybe that's the most incredible part of all. Before babies ever learn to speak, their bodies are already telling one of the most fascinating stories on Earth. We just have to learn how to listen. This was only one mystery. There are thousands more waiting to be discovered. Why do babies cry, even when they're full? Why do they smile while they're sleeping? Why do they get hiccups so often? Why do toddlers suddenly refuse every food they loved yesterday? Those aren't just parenting questions, they're human mysteries. And we'll uncover them, one story at a time. Welcome inside the world of babies. We'll see you in the next mystery.